Hello.
Hi, so good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
yes, and Sriram, Ninad, welcome to the Lumiere Learning Monday, and welcome to our panelists to the again yet another Learning Monday episode that we do. And as you know, the theme for the past couple of months, I can say, is really trying to navigate all of the volatility, the uncertainty that surrounds us, and we've done, conversations on what businesses are doing to get back from different lens. So we've looked at the lens of leadership consulting, the lens of marketing. We brought in people from healthcare, so there are different profiles of people that you've met. And today, probably the first time for us that we have two veterans, forgees, and we're so honored to invite Sriram, Ninad, and you've seen the invite, which is why you are here. They, as you know, have a deep experience in, navigating. And as I was mulling yesterday, I said the word navigate really comes from the Navy, perhaps, the
Ab-
origin.
Absolutely.
And who better to learn this from than the two of you? And you call yourself the Transformaven. So what we're going to do over the next some time is really hear your story, and I'm going to really move to the background and let both of you tell us your journey, which I think is a lifetime of preparation, isn't it? I mean, from the time you're 14 or 15 or 16 when you go away to NDA, you're being trained for this VUCA.
Yeah, I'll take that. So you're absolutely right. I think we are guys, both of us, to just give you a history, Ninad and I were batchmates when we finished our 12th in 1986. And we joined the Navy, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's a lifetime of preparation of facing the world. Like a lot of my friends used to say, you're thrown into the deep end and you become a man much faster than the rest of the world does become. That's probably what this whole canvas does. And you're into the leadership role right from the day one, in some sense or the other. Uh, uh, Ninad and I think, came from similar backgrounds. Just that he was in Mumbai, I was from Chennai, so we converged together. And say to 2020, we are together into creating Transformavens and helping people out. That's in short who we are.
So, Ninad, you have also been a Mumbai boy,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and you also have other passions. So, tell our audience a little bit about what else fires you and the VUCA experience you had on Saturday.
Okay. So I will start with my other passions, which is a bit of heritage in this our wonderful city of Mumbai, and that sort of got sparked when I was posted at the Western Naval Command headquarters a few decades ago, and that was at that time located in the Bombay Castle. Very few people know that the city of Mumbai has a castle, and I used to go and sit there every day for close to 3 years in the Bombay Castle, and there's remnants of a structure there which is known as the Manor House, which even predates the Taj Mahal in India. So that
Wow.
was the kind of history, and that is when my sort of interest in history took off, and I of course developed on that, started reading that, and I got an opportunity when I was working in a Mascon Docks to set up a museum that traced the history of Mumbai for over 400 years. And an industry which is flourishing in Mumbai, and very few know of it, is a history of shipbuilding and ship repair, which is continuing in its form for the past 300 odd years. So that is where my love for history got ignited. It is now raising, blazing inferno, I would say. But the spark was lit 20 years ago. And I got a VUCA environment. I mean, I have a friend who conducts heritage walks in Mumbai, and I also part whenever I find the time. I do conduct heritage walks in and around Fort area in the South Mumbai. So he called up 6 o'clock. I got a call. 8 o'clock, I'm coming down beast below your building, and we'll go for a drive around Masgon, the island of Masgon, of course.
Mm.
So that's how my Saturday start off. So really, it was very, very unpredictable, I would say. To get up, I had my day lined up, but then it went. You have to. So that is more. Something of VUCA environment which you deal with, and like Sriram said, you get a lifetime preparing for you. So nothing that happens is really phases you. You remain. It's another day at work. It's another day at the office. It's a
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So when did the idea, Sriram, of why is there an echo? I don't know. So when did the idea of starting, doing something together first crop in your mind? Was
Okay.
it while you were still working? And how, if you all can just.
Okay, I'll answer that, Shyam. So, like Shyam said, we joined the Navy in 1986 as 18-year-olds. Went through our basic trainings together, did our engineering together, and our careers more or less ran parallel to each other. We started. I mean, the moment you finish your career, you hit the fleet, and we started our careers on respective sister ships, and then you do various tours of duty at different ranks, different designations. So more or less we started. Then around 2013, I moved out of the Navy. I took a job outside. I tried my hand in the corporate world. I tried my hand in the social sector, and Sriram by that time finished with the Navy in around 2018. So that is when we decided that this was one of our uh, passions, one of the bucket list to start off something on our own and use and channelize whatever experience we have gained. We got a joint experience of close to 5 decades
Yeah.
in various scenarios. We thought that we could make use of that experience and share our experience and as a sort of act as catalysts more than anything. And that is
Beautiful.
where our tagline is navigating new horizons comes from, where we like to go in uncharted waters and take people and show them how they can navigate in uncharted waters where nobody's been before or nobody knows what is going to happen in a sense. So that is how Transformavens took birth. It's been 2 years plus, and we have had some fairly uh, exciting assignments to say the least over the past 2 years. So that's how we came together, and that's how we started, and we continue together.
Lovely. Thank you. And the name Transformavens, what's the story behind the name?
So, okay, Transformavens is a amalgam of transform and mavens, and mavens is essentially connoisseurs or experts who are willing to share their knowledge. It's got a Yiddish origin, and when we were our aim was to be able to share our expertise, and we were experts in handling teams and managing teams in leadership roles. So we said, why not use the word mavens? And Transform and Mavens came together, and we created Transformavens. That's the long and the short. We tossed around a whole lot of names, and then we found that all of them were taken. So, in some way, this was one thing which was unique, it was different. We created it by amalgamating two different words, and it kind of stuck with us. That's how it kind of took off.
Wonderful. And the yellow and the blue is also purposeful, I'm sure.
Yeah, the blue ex navy, so it's very obviously has to be blue in some sense.
That's
So
why I'm wearing a blue sari.
oh yeah, okay, we are back. I think. Is everybody online?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we can hear you. Go
Okay.
on.
So the blues obviously comes from the fact that we have the naval background. And if you notice those dots on top of the T and the M, the T and the M is actually T transformation, transform, and M is Mavens. And the single dot on top of T is essentially, we thought the T would be the teacher or the trainer or the facilitator in some sense. And multiple dots on top of M would represent the people who are getting or the trainees or the participants in some sense. So it's a teacher, the participant kind of that's how we thought of a single dot and multiple dots. And if
And
you also notice,
there's
there is
something
a
between
compass.
yeah,
Yeah, the
I love
Transformavens
that.
is the O is actually a compass.
Okay, so we are back.
Did we? Did I drop, or is it that all
No,
of us
so
dropped?
all of
Okay.
us, yeah, all of us
Okay.
left. So you were telling us about the compass.
Yeah, the compass is essentially, like we said, navigation is something that we do. If you look at our tagline, it's navigating new horizons. So navigation becomes the compass because that's a tool for navigation, and therefore Transformavens comes out from. I mean, the O there is a compass, and that's how we conceived the logo as well as the name and the way it's written.
Very nice. So, Sriram and Ninad, you know, I think the careers would have provided you all enough opportunities to keep finding uh, parts of yourselves that you didn't know existed in you, a kind of personal transformation. So, you want to tell our audience, individually or collectively, that a moment or an incident that probably has altered you, transformed you. And when I say transform, it's always bigger than alteration. Transformed you, transmuted you into something bigger than before.
Okay. So Shriram, you go first. We both have our individual stories.
Okay.
So Shriram
So
can go
okay,
first, and I'll.
if I were to very early when I started my training in the Navy, uh, I was one of those kids who joined the Navy at the age of 17. I'd never had a background of having served. I mean, having had any physical activity. I was a big roly-poly creature who had finished his 12th standard, a big teenager who was probably weighing more than what I'm weighing today, and that's how I entered the Navy. And the boot camp was brutal, and that was a time when I kind of it gives you it kind of there's so much of pressure on you to navigate this part of your life that I was all set to give up at some point in time. But for some strange reason, and the one is the people around you, the mates that you have around you, the teams that you have around you. These were my teammates. Thanks to them, and also I could dig into myself and pull out all that I had inside me. The belief that came out of that was what made me stick around. And 3 to 4 months during the course of that journey, I managed to overcome every kind of obstacle that came my way.
So powerful.
That was something that uh, the sense of self belief started off for me at that point in time. I mean, it's something that was never challenged before that, but this was a time when it was deeply challenged. And thanks to people around me, as well as my own ability to dig deep into myself and pull out whatever I had, the inner strength that I had. So that was a major transformation point in my life, where I realized what it means to be a part of a larger team, which is my bunch of coachmates, and we all stick together, about 66 of us, and we still have a vibrant kind of a group with which we chat, and we have our own evenings and things like that. That's what carried us along. And there have been enough instances in our lives where we bank on these guys and kind of prep us along and take us along. So that's one moment in my initial life, and which is hugely transformational.
Beautiful.
Ninad, go.
Okay, so my moment of self-discovery came a bit later in my career. I was posted at a industrial organization, which has a 10,000 strong workforce, and it was like any big organized, like a big any big industrial organization. It has some department, many departments. I was heading a department of 700 strong, and it was a one that provided technical services. Now, in the industrial world, there are some departments which are slightly more sought after or more glamorous, the glamour boys, as you say, the marketing, the production, they call the light together. Everyone else is an overhead. So I was in one such overhead department and provided. So my biggest challenge was to make my 700 strong team realize that they are as important as any one of the other 9,300 other of their teammates. And that was one of my biggest I would say successes, when the team realized that what they're doing is as important as those in the so-called glamorous departments, started believing that they really achieved wonders. And in wonders, I mean getting a Prime Minister's Shram Award, which is a few of them are awarded in the country. So that is the ratio at which so one of them got the Prime Minister Shram Award. The national few of them got awards in the national quality circles conventions, international quality circles convention, and this happened by a process. It did not happen overnight. It was, but getting them, and that is when I realized that nothing is impossible. And to repeat a cliche, if you can't do it all alone. It can be, but it can be done, but it just needs your belief. And that is when I started this way, and that is when again I was also doing my MBA at that time, and sort of it all amalgamated together.
How long did this process take from starting work with the 700 team to getting the last man believer? Would have been.
It took around 2.5 years. It took 200 because you have to get on with your day-to-day job also. But it took about two years, I would say. But at the end of them, all 700 odd of them were believing that, and getting a award from the Prime Minister itself. Said that anybody can get it, and if he can get it, why can't I get it? And then your whole perspective changes.
So I'm curious, and I want to dig a little deeper in this experience because these are civilians,
Yes.
and the mindset would be very different from the transformational experiences you would have had with people in the forces who, in a sense, are already gone through a shared understanding of what grit is.
Yes.
So, what did what were some of the differences you saw, and why I want our audience to also hear this is how does that then translate into your work when you're dealing with everyday folks in businesses in industry who haven't gone through boot camp in a literal sense? I mean, we all life is all boot camp if you actually look at it, and it's been boot camp now for all of us since COVID, in a sense. So we are getting those of us who were spared those lessons are getting the boot camp lessons now, some harder, harsher than the others.
Yes. So, to answer your question, one is these were not uniformed employees. They were civilians and working. They're known as defense civilians employees. So
I
they
think.
work for the Ministry Department, but they're not uniformed employees, and they're governed by the normal Industrial Disputes Act, Factories Act, and all that.
Got it.
So they're not. So the one of the things that stood out and that really played a difference is when you're dealing with teams, there is a elephant in the room, which is interpersonal relations between the team that defines the team dynamics.
Yeah.
And these building up on these interpersonal relations with them, that I'm with you, though I wear a uniform and you don't wear a uniform, it means we are all in it together. That is how if just to briefly at a macro level is how I would say that when that message goes that we are all in it together, and create a sort of a vulnerability. I was a naval officer. I had come from ships, and suddenly I was thrown in this department which was 24/7. I mean, we are manning our places 24/7. But when you have a sort of a vulnerability, a shared vulnerability,
Yeah.
and you manage to create that sense of safety that I'm with you, we are all going to do this together. That shared vulnerability and that shared psychological safety is what really makes the difference to a team of this size. I mean, 700 is not a small team by any means, and but yes, to get every one of them believing, this is what matters the most.
And if I may just add to what Ninad said, this applies even to the people in uniform. I mean, it's very difficult to get a man to say that he's going to come along with me and kill himself unless there is a deep sense of trust established. There is a great sense of psychological safety established within the team, and these are the bedrock of the whole the teams that we work with. And this is irrespective of whether it's people in uniform or, I mean, there's this thought always that people in uniform, no problem, you can just make them do what you want, give them order. That's the average. That's how people think normally, but that's really not the case. If you really want them to commit their lives to you, commit their lives to whatever they are doing at that point in time, this is mandatory to be able to establish trust and able to give them a sense of safety in the team, because then they know that somebody's got their back at all points in time.
And these are very solid lessons for everybody, including startups who are looking to build their teams, whether it's small companies, small size companies, because metaphorically, when you're joining a startup, in a sense, you're putting a lot on line, all of the comfort of, a large organization, or, just, or even someone embarking on their own entrepreneurial journey, in a sense, is putting a lot and, at risk and at stake. Um, at that
Absolutely, this is extremely relevant anywhere, even non-profits. Forget about startups, even non-profits. If you, it's like this. I work in a within my housing society. We run a small team which takes care of the green activities, in the sense garbage segregation, waste segregation, and that's part of my volunteering bit. So we have a small team of about 15, 16 people, and it's inevitable that we have conflicts within the way things have to go. But to be able to air those conflicts and to be able to sort them out in a mutually acceptable manner requires everybody to be able to voice their point of view. And that applies across the board, irrespective of whether it's a startup or a well-established organization or people in the armed forces. It transcends every sector and everything, every kind of team in any environment.
And I would just like to add that what it also leads to, let's say, a sort of a byproduct is that there is intense camaraderie that
Hmm.
gets generated. And when there is intense camaraderie, you know that you're either pulling together, as the to use another naval term, you're pulling together, and you get a clear sense of purpose. Once you have a clear sense of purpose for the organization, for the team at various levels, then things become that much more easier. When everybody is pulling in the same direction, in the same timing, you are, I mean, you're almost halfway there. You know, then you can concentrate. Then it's how fast you pull.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I think Ritu Goel makes the point, which she's actually taken the question from my mouth. So she says psychological safety is so essential for employees of a startup, especially in COVID times, even when big companies have laid off their employees en masse.
Yes.
So, yes, thank you for that, Ritu. Would you like
It's
to comment on this?
yeah, it's I mean, like we said earlier, there is this sense of safety which is so paramount, more so. And frankly, the sense of safety is what I think a lot of people don't feel today. These COVID times have kind of there is a bit of unpredictability around them. There is no, they don't seem to have control over their lives, and both these put together leads people to think that, I mean, they're not comfortable in the space they are in, and there's this fear. So at one end of the spectrum, you could be extremely fearful, and at the other end of the spectrum, you could probably be, there would be a bit of angst. What is your frame of mind and how you are wired? So Ritu is kind of put it across extremely well when she says that, COVID times, psychological safety is very important. And the moment enterprises realize that people need to feel safe,
Yeah.
I think they have won the battle. Any team leader or team lead in a enterprise who realizes that the team needs to feel safe, I think has cracked the problem in some sense.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that. So there are two things that come to my mind from here, which I want to actually. So the compass, there's almost a kind of a moral compass, which kind of gets developed, and it'll be for the individual often to get that, and then that becomes really that pole star which is taking you when you're making those decisions, whether it is about resolving a difference with a society, a community of people who have to work on garbage disposal, or guiding a non-profit. So tell us, how do you make, talk to our audience a little bit about this aspect, and because you've got the compass there, I thought it's important for us to spend a little time going deeper on this aspect.
So Ninad, I'll just take that. So you can add on to that
Yeah.
subsequently. So the way we see teams and enterprises, enterprises are essentially teams of teams in a lot of ways. And when it comes to teams, the enterprise should have a purpose which is very clear, and the team which is executing this role for the enterprise should have its own sense of purpose very clearly. More often than not, if the purpose which you have conflicts with your inner compass, there is going to be dissonance. So there's the whole lot of talk about triple bottom lines, and I think you were mentioning about a quadruple bottom line also at some point in time. So unless these get aligned and set, because every human being has their own set of values, and it's very difficult for them to be able to live in an environment where there is constant conflict between your value and the purpose that you're trying to meet for the enterprise. So it's unless if you really want to move ahead and create an environment which is harmonious, where people feel happy doing what they're doing, and they're able to make 2 + 2 = 10, it is mandatory that your value system is kind of aligns itself with the purpose, and everything coalesces together for you to be able to pull along in the same direction as fast as you can. You got something to add?
Yeah, I just add that also one of the characteristics that you need absolutely is to be absolutely authentic, and that itself, if you're authentic to yourself, the moral compass will align itself. So one of the, as a VUCA enabled leader, one quality is, of course, being vulnerable, but of course you have to be authentic. And this is very clearly seen through, your team will easily know within a fraction of a second whether you're authentic or not. In your first interaction itself, you'll come to know how authentic it is. So it is very, very important to be authentic.
Yeah.
Then once you're authentic, you get a clear purpose, you align yourself, the team aligns itself. There's not much that is required after that.
Just to give you a small story about authenticity. Probably a decade back, I was on a platform, I was on a ship, frigate, and we were very operational. We would go out very often for very long periods of time, and you come back in on a weekend, come back on a Saturday evening, and you're off on a Monday morning. That's how we were working.
Wow.
So there are times when you need to do some maintenance kind of stuff on your equipment, because we were maintenance engineers, so we needed to do maintenance on the equipment. I was the head of the department, but I had these people who would work on a Sunday, who would come in on a Sunday, despite the fact that they had their families to meet. And the fact that we needed to be comfortable at sea, and that can happen only if we work on that particular Sunday, at least for half a day, to get things back in shape. That was the purpose. And these guys, and they knew that I was authentic enough to come and sit down with them and help them out. So this is something that happens the moment the team recognizes that you're authentic. The team recognizes that there is a purpose behind what we are doing, and there is a need for this purpose to be met. So it all comes together again.
Yeah. It's very interesting, because you've taken two alphabets. You've taken the V, so the V of vulnerable, and you've taken the A of authentic. Is there something? Is there something that you want to tell us on the U and the C? It was quite by chance. So I just love the way we've talked about the vulnerability and the authenticity, to absolutely important critical words for a leader who's leading from the front, who's carrying teams big and small. It's relevant for leading families. Yeah, parents need to be vulnerable to kids. Parents need to be authentic to kids, because only then will you be able to lead your family, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, go.
So C is you need to have a coaching mindset. So just like everybody in a team will not be equal, they will have different skill sets, they will have different levels of competence. You need to have a coaching mindset if you're in a team, and you have to coach each other. Get coached also, even though you might be notionally you have a positional authority, but you have to be authentic enough, vulnerable enough to get coaching from, and that happens all the time. You don't know something, you ask, just tell me what it is, I don't know it. And so you need a coaching mindset. I would say C. So I think we have covered 3 of the alphabets. So maybe
Ninad, I just want to add, there's a whole thought process which you are aware of moving from manager to coach. So
Yes.
even more important in these uncertain times, because as we have so many, it's like this, like someone said, and I love Coach, to quote it, it's not about one black swan event, it's 1,000 black elephants, charging at us, kind of an event that we are at a global scale right now with the
Yes.
pandemic.
Yes.
So it is about the coaching mindset is probably more important now, which is querying, asking questions, being able to become coachy at the drop of a hat.
Yes.
Even coachy to your 14-year-old who probably is more digitally ahead than
Absolutely.
you are, right?
Absolutely. So I think Ninad has nailed it when he said that the coaching aspect is something that's extremely important in the kind of navigating the VUCA world. And the fact that you don't know everything, that's the first thing that comes up in the complex world that we live in today. A single person doesn't know everything. The days of a heroic leader don't exist anymore. Everybody work with teams, and when you're working with teams, it's inevitable that some people know something more than you do, because teams are all about having subject matter experts come together and perform in a way where you're able to meet your purpose and goals. And you should be, as a leader, willing to take coaching from the people who are probably the experts in that particular area of work that you need to do. So the coaching mindset is an absolute essential as far as handling VUCA complex teams, handling VUCA environments are concerned.
Wonderful. Have we found anything for the you, or we'll take
I think
Ritu's question?
we'll have to give it a pass at this point in time.
So Ritu's jumped to the rescue again with a question. So Ritu Goel says, how does one handle a team that has the intention of performance but not able to rise to the occasion due to circumstances, and also things like lack of self-discipline? My question is specifically for the new work from home model during COVID times. Thank you, Ritu. So self-discipline, these guys learned it at the NDA. We should understand how they intend to teach us.
From the perspective of, I mean, Ritu says that the intention is there,
Yeah.
but is not able to rise to the occasion. Obviously, the way I see it, if I may assume something, I presume the circumstances at which they are functioning is not probably helping them meet the intention of wanting to work effectively and efficiently as far as the COVID times are concerned. So it's the conversation, and the coaching is the only way to go ahead and do this. You'll have to have the conversation, find out what is the block, what is it that is stopping them from giving them their best. So I think this is exactly where the coaching mindset comes in, to be able to understand the person and help them cross that barrier. As a coach, are you able to help your coachee or your teammate cross that barrier? Is what makes the difference between you being a successful leader and not being able to get the team to coalesce together. Ritu, I hope I have given you some answer.
Thank
Okay.
you for that. Yeah.
Deepa, I just while Sriram was speaking, I just picked up on one word, and I think I have the you now.
Even I have the you. Tell me your you.
Okay, so you is understanding your strengths and weaknesses. You have to have
Lovely.
self mastery over your team, or self mastery is awareness at least. What are your strong points? What are your weak areas? It's like a sort. So once you understand your strengths and weaknesses, you are in a much better position. You are in a much better position to be coached and to coach, and also you are in a much stronger wicket when being vulnerable and creating that psychological, because you know what is there, what is your strength, what is where your weak areas, which needs more
Yeah.
mentoring, which needs more strengthening. So
And so much humility required to understand, isn't it?
yes, you have
So to
to.
be vulnerable, I think, is requires tremendous amount of humility. It's very difficult for you to go ahead and come into a space where you have a whole bunch of people and tell them that, look, I made a mistake, or I'm sorry, I admit it. And the moment you do that, I think the team they just love you. I've seen this happen multiple times. That's been a mantra for me. If I'm with a team, has always worked for us, to be able to admit that we have not done the right thing, or probably we could have done better. So one of the things which we discuss when we talk about managing teams is to be able to review what you're doing and accept, not from the perspective of apportioning blame, but from the perspective of being able to analyze for future learning, to be able to go through whatever you've done and say that, look, we could have done this part better, probably we made a mistake here. And that it's psychological safety to be able to do that. It's vulnerability to be able to accept that, look, probably we did something wrong. So all this come together in a lot of ways to be able to create high performing teams.
You reflect, probably relearn, unlearn.
Absolutely. So break your mindset, because you come with a certain set of frames of mind and certain belief systems, and to be able to tell somebody that, look, I think I made a mistake, probably I need to review or relook at this from a different perspective.
So maybe there's another that you could be unlearn.
Oh yeah, I think that's what you were heading for. I can see that.
No, I was heading for something else. You gave me the unlearn.
Okay.
I was going for the uniqueness. As a strengths coach, what we appreciate is the uniqueness, and that is really how we celebrate what we call Lagan teams. Teams which are have in a sense they are so unique. They don't look like they are winner teams, but if the leader is able to pull what is that unique superpower that each individual teammate brings to the table, they can sort of make magic. And that goes through, really about having a mindset of bringing in inclusiveness, celebrating diversity, isn't it? Which is what the world needs at this point in time.
So that's 2 U's or 3 U's. I think we've got three U's today.
VUCA.
But if you ask me, I still go with unlearn. Unlearn, I think, is something which you've nailed in a lot of ways. I think all of us go with what we've learned in the past, what we believe to be right. I think the moment we critically examine ourselves, even the self-awareness is what matters in this case, to be able to accept the fact that, look, I could be wrong, and therefore let me review what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And we have to unpack so much of all the baggage that we are carrying, isn't it? Because these are the times to tread really light. And metaphorically also, we've dropped so many of our, what we had as must-haves, to what makes a comfortable life. I mean, this pandemic has taught us that we really need to value good health, our immunity, the love of our family and the friends that support and root for us more than ever, our teams.
Yeah, very true. I think
much to be grateful for.
Grateful. We are blessed in a lot of ways to have the kind of ecosystem that we have, the life that we live, and the fact that we have, despite the pandemic, we still are able to sit here together and have a fireside chat is something that everybody needs to be grateful for. At least most of us who are sitting in this forum are very grateful, at least.
So just a more play on words, I just thought as you were talking, from before pandemic, we were in an ecosystem. Now we've become aware of our ecosystems.
Wow. Interesting. From ecosystem to ecosystem. I think that's another fireside chat for you.
So, to our audience, yes, I mean, so many more. And, when you visit and take a look at what the work that the real life experiences that they've had in the last 2 years of doing and applying all of their practices. You want to tell us, just our audience, we've got another 5 minutes to go. How does one actually reach out to you? How does one, when does one need the transformations? Who needs the transformations? When do they need you? How do they reach you?
Ninad, go.
Okay, so of course, you can reach out to us on our website, which is there. That is one of the easiest way to get in touch with us, and our contact details are available on our LinkedIn page, our Facebook page, our Google page. We are there everywhere. Now, we should anybody need to reach out to us, we will be there. We have got no off-the-shelf solutions. we will curate the solution based on each requirement, because everyone is different and uniqueness. So in what context it is required is first to be examined. And we prefer working with teams, and working so it's a new concept that we are trying out right now, which is called team coaching, which is different from individual coaching or individual, where the team dynamics come into play. The interplay between individual team members has a large effect or impact on the performance of the team, and that is where we come in. That is what our curated solutions work on. It's all about teams. And
so we work with a lot of facilitation tools to put the teams together through a whole lot of paces by which they can create a sense of shared purpose, shared vision, a process by which they can handle their own internal conflicts. So what is it that matters to them? How do they handle the external stakeholders? Are they clear about what is to be achieved? Are they clear about who are all the stakeholders? Because a lot of times what happens is people go around in organizations without actually knowing what is it that they're actually supposed to do. They're just thrown into the deep end. So even if people are able to come together as a team and discuss all this out, I think it takes them to the next level. That's the first thing that we do.
Beautiful. So just building, fostering conversations, creating a safe space for
Absolutely.
people to share.
Absolutely.
And how long do these engagements, assignments typically have been for you, Ninad, Sriram?
We are at this point in time working with a 3-month time frame with weekly engagements. That's how we've structured it at this point in time. Point is that anything beyond that, ideally there are multiple iterations of that need to be done to keep this reinforced.
Yes.
However, what happens is people need to move on. They have their work to do. It all doesn't revolve around getting teams to do better alone. So sometimes they do come back to us. Sometimes it peters out. But yeah, a 3-month time frame we do see a certain degree of improvement, and we've had very positive results in a 3-month time frame.
And I think y'all have worked with organizations of different sizes. You worked with very large organizations, government organizations. You've also worked with smaller NGOs. I think y'all are pretty size and scale agnostic. Plus, your own domain experience and expertise also comes in very handy, isn't it?
Not
yeah, so we worked with very large organizations in the public sector domain. Uh, Also, very small organ like NGOs. We also were engaged with a startup based in Bangalore, where they wanted to develop the next line of leadership. So it's really across specter, across industries, across geographies. You may add, we have got clients Goa, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Cochin, and we are looking to spread out more. And now with this, of course, shifting online, it's a whole different ball. Now the geographical boundaries are no longer there
No
to
longer.
restrict.
Yeah.
So we are there. We are there on in this space also. So
Great. So, audience, I had my, absolute a brilliant start to my week with this very inspiring conversation. I hope you had your cup of chai or coffee as you were listening to Ninad and Sriram, and your curiosity is piqued to know more, as mine is, and really want to, whether it is to see how does one solve for the uncertain, how do you keep that attitude, how do you keep that inner compass aligned, how do we get the organization purpose, that the smaller team purpose, the individual purpose, all sort of aligned, so everybody is pulling in the same direction again.
nailed.
And I'm learning. I'm a good learner. I'm
I said
getting
you've nailed it.
yeah. So yes, so for all the leaders out there, and whether we are leading our families, I always see the parallels between, we make these artificial divisions between work and home life, but it's really the same. We're the same leader, whether it's leading ourselves, leading our kids, or leading large organizations, or leading governments. It's the same rule. Be authentic, be vulnerable, and what was it? Keep
Create
unlearning,
safety.
stay coach and be coachy, and I think be humble, keep enjoying, stay safe. I think very important in these times as well.
Be
Absolutely.
authentic.
Yeah, we started with that. Be authentic, be vulnerable. Ninad, Sriram cannot thank you enough for coming on the Lumiere Learning Monday platform.
It is a privilege for both of us to be here and talking to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and we hope to catch up with you sooner, if not later.
So, those of you who missed and came in late, you will find this on the YouTube channel, the Lumiere Light and Insight YouTube channel. We've also streamed it on our Facebook page. And thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you once again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks.